Hey everyone, welcome back to Mason Woodshop. In this video, we are taking a look at Creality's latest laser innovation. This is their Falcon A1, a 10-watt diode laser that's great for beginners. Very compact, very easy to set up. You take it out of the box and you're basically ready to go, which is amazing, and very capable, very portable. So I think that that's something that's really great about this laser versus some of the heavy ones that I've had in the shop over the last few months. What's also amazing is that this has one great feature in their smart camera system. So without further ado, let's take a look at what comes in the box and how you can get it set up. Okay, so taking a quick peek at the box that it comes shipped in, very well packaged in here. Weighs around 19 kilograms overall for everything. And we have the laser, really nice foam padding throughout. Let's see what we have in here. We've got the power cord, power brick that is, manual, number of other accessories, and I'll lay all these out in a few minutes. Then we also have exhaust hose. There's the power cord, some more cabling, air assist, and yeah, everything's kind of nicely contained at the back. So I'm gonna get all this foam out, I'll lay out all the accessories and show you what comes in the box. Okay, so here we have all of the contents of the box laid out. We of course have the laser itself, we have the power brick, the power cable, the air assist, the hose for the air assist, we have the exhaust hose, we have the clamp for that, we have the USB to Type A cable as well as a Type A to C adapter. So if you do only have Type C on your computer, you're totally fine with that. We have the security keys, we have a cloth for cleaning, we have a little lens replacement, we have tweezers, we have an anti-static brush, we have a cable for the rotary tool. We have 4 different Allen keys. We have a little tool here with a Phillips head screwdriver on one end. We have the instruction manual. And finally, we have the little laser focus tool right there. So that is the contents. Oh, minus the 3mm basswood that comes with it. We do have one of the calibration guides in there. And we do also have the QR code, which is something that's really cool with how it works with the camera. All right, so here we have the right side of the unit, and just moving this from the other table over here shows how portable this is compared to so many other lasers. And I know the cutting area isn't quite as big as on some other layers, but this is a very compact unit, which is great. But here we have all the connections over on the right side. We have the emergency switch, as well as the start button over there. And to connect the air assist, all that we have to do is plug in that cable, and then we have the air cable right here. Take that off, plug this in, exactly the same as on the Falcon 2 Pro from Creality that I had before. The air inlet, there we go. Power cable, so let's get that plugged in right here. It's not plugged in yet. We then have the security keys, and we can insert that and turn to the side. We do have the rotary toolkit as well as the USB-C port right there. So let's get the USB-C cable hooked up, knowing that we are going to be using the adapter on the end so that we can connect it to my MacBook Pro. And then on the back, we have the 2¼ inch exhaust port. So a little different than some of the other lasers that I've had in the shop where it's 3 inches. But for the size of this unit, knowing that it's 10 watts, I think that this is going to be sufficient. So what we can do is we can get that hooked on there and we can screw this on so that we can exhaust out the hose. Then finally, we are going to remove all the great wrap. All right, so let's just give a quick walk around the unit. And this is around 570 millimeters wide by 460 millimeters deep, and 211 meters tall. So very compact, very portable, very good build quality. So the metal on this and then the plastic for the covers, the one at the top, the one right here, being able to load material in this way is quite handy. So very happy with the overall build quality. The left side, nothing there other than the bare panel. And on the rear, all that we have is the exhaust port and therefore the hose. Over on the right, and we've already showed this, but we have the start button, the emergency stop, the power switch, USB-C connection, power connection, air pump, air inlet, rotary kit, and then the security key right there. So very compact unit, kind of nothing out of place. You could fit this almost anywhere, especially knowing that you don't have to lift the top up, so you don't need a lot of clearance. Oh, and it kind of holds itself at a nice angle right there, which is quite handy. There is the smart camera, so you can turn it off. And so the smart camera, I think, is the biggest addition. What's also great with this laser is I took it out of the box, took the accessories out, and it was ready to go. The Creality Falcon 2 Pro required quite a bit of assembly, like a couple hours of assembly. So just knowing that this one's ready to go within the few minutes that it claims is quite impressive. And here we have the 10-watt laser unit, so you can slide that along, core XY, and the overall cutting space, let me just check, is about 380 millimeters by 305 millimeters. So pretty reasonable for kind of a lot of what you're gonna be doing on laser. I would say that 98% of the laser cutting that I do would actually fit in this laser. So right now I am currently using the X-Tool S1 and the X-Tool P2 as kind of my main lasers. But almost everything would fit in this. And even the 10-watt laser, even though it's less powerful than the 20-watt diode that I have, this would actually be quite sufficient for the majority of what I need. And the fact that this can move up to 600 millimeters per second is quite impressive. So really nice unit. Quite surprised with not just the build quality, like the build quality is amazing, but how easy it was to get going with this out of the box and get it to this point. But I think now it's time to hook it up to the computer and see what it can do. All right, so for setup, we are going to be using the new Falcon Design Space software. We're not going to be using Lightburn. So the Creality Falcon 2 Pro that I had before did require either Lightburn or Laser GRBL. For me, I really like the X-Tool software suite, so it's nice to see Creality bring that over to the A1. And it is compatible with all of these Creality Falcon 2 or Falcon lasers. I'm going to start a screen record on here so I can put some of this full screen while I'm going through the setup, and then I'll also move back to the full camera so you can see the laser moving around as well. Oh, there, turn off the emergency stop. Oh, air assist goes. We've got lights. Okay, let's provide a ready-made pattern. Please follow the instructions below. Let's load some material in there. Let's see. Place a supplied basswood board in the middle of the workbench. Okay. Use the highest level of the bar to focus. And this is one of, I'm going to say, disappointing things with this laser is that you have to use this little bar to set the focus of the laser rather than it either doing it automatically or using some sort of other mechanism. But it is what it is. Push the laser head down. Screw it into place. I realize that's probably not showing up on camera great. And then just pull that out. So we have set the depth now. Let's close this back up. And frame. Oh. The laser head is moving. Seems like it's homing itself and it's going to frame where it's going to be cutting. Okay, that's very similar to the Creality Falcon 2 Pro. Then we can click start. It says it's going to take 1 minute. So quiet. Just moving freehand to show you that it is working. The sound off this machine, and I know it's not moving fast, but this is so quiet compared to not just the 20-watt diodes that I've reviewed before, but especially compared to the 55-watt CO2, which you don't even really want to be in the same room as it. So this is quite impressive. Let's let this play out. It's got about another 15 seconds. There we go. So we have our test complete. All right, so even though we did set up the laser without problem, and I have done a few test things here and there, I am getting a little more familiar with the software. And I think that there was just some weird stuff going on over on the side here, and I didn't see camera right here. And my understanding with the A1 was that the camera was pre-calibrated, because that's not the most fun process as kind of what I encountered with the Falcon 2 Pro. But I think what we need to do here is we do need to calibrate it. And it did come with this little doohickey right here to do so. So I think it's a standard base plate. So we're gonna go through this process and I'll show it on camera. So we'll get rid of the material. And okay, thickness range. Okay, so typically we're going to be dealing with 3mm. I'm going to crank that up to, because I do a lot of slate. Calibration, delete. Okay, maybe there are multiple settings here. So, okay, we're going to do 0 to 3mm calibration. So we're going to throw this in the top left. Close that. Close this front just in case that changed it. Okay, we're gonna do all the easy ones first. This, so far, is a lot easier than on the Falcon 2 Pro. So we've got that, and fast. I think that's the other thing that I like here. And the final image right there. Place a, oh, we gotta do more. Place a wooden board with a size not less than, okay. This is a little cumbersome, especially when it did say that this would have been pre-calibrated. But let's do this. Prepare to engrave following. Okay, where's it going? Okay, let's frame it. Okay, I think that was more in the middle. Let's just frame again. Let's just see where it goes. Okay, there. Yeah, it's kind of left aligned. I think I'm fine with it like that. So, okay, let's do start. So now in the software, let's do get image. Okay, it's got it there. Double click the center point. Okay, center there. Center there. Number 3. Number 4. Complete. Okay, so we're calibrated for 0 to 3mm material. All right, so we're gonna move to material test. We're gonna be testing 3mm basswood plywood. We're gonna be doing slate coaster, and we're gonna be doing some matte opaque acrylic. So I'm not gonna show you all of the software bits for each of them, but what we need to do is, first of all, we need to set the depth for the basswood plywood. And what you do is you loosen the laser so it can slide up and down. Then you move this under the laser head, just like we did for the camera setup or the initial setup. Dial those back, then remove the block. And something I just want to say is I almost always use the top, the thickest part, just kind of when working with different materials. So you'll see me do the same when it comes to focusing the laser for the slate and the acrylic as well. But now that we've got that set, we can close up the laser and let's look at the software. All right, so in the software, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull in our logo. And yeah, I've been familiarizing myself with the software. We're gonna make this pretty small. And the way that this works is you're essentially always working with lines. So what we're going to do here is right now we're on 0, 0 for that line, and we're going to change that to a fill engrave. It's on the basswood plywood, so it has set the automatic settings here of 3,000 millimeters per minute and 40% power. We're actually going to drop this. So in a few of the tests that I have been doing, I have noticed that that's a little intense, so it's a pretty deep engrave. I think that those settings will just gradually improve over time with this software, but they're pretty good out of the gate, much better than you would have had with the Falcon 2 Pro using Lightburn. We're set offset distance around and kind of how this works. And so you'll see that right now it's got it all highlighted, but what we need to do is select the outer layer that we just created, and we're going to do add. Then we are going to change this to cut. And now that we've got it selected, so just want to show you, okay, we've got two kind of different selections. One is the actual Mason Woodshop logo. The other one is the outline. And we want to select the outline right now. And then we're going to press this little 0, 1. And there you'll see that. So what this is doing is it's got that set up as our cut at 350 millimeters per minute and 100% power. So now we can move to our camera right there. And well, let's shrink it down just a little bit. And we're going to find a good spot to put this. The camera's great for positioning. Really nice addition. The Creality lasers are the only ones I've had that have had the camera minus the P2, which has two cameras. So one actually on the laser head. And now what we can do is I think we're all set. So we can click on start and then let's see what the results is. There you'll see it starting, and then we'll pick this up at the end. All right, so the wood engrave is just about done, and it's gonna switch over to cutting. There we go. All right, so it's complete, and laser head moved back, so let's take a look. There is a little bit of residual smoke coming out, but the end result is fantastic. Really quite happy with that. Nice clean cut. There you go. Slowing it down. Or speeding it up, sorry, to get that kind of finer engrave really worked out nicely. Right, so moving to our next material test, we are going to be doing a slate coaster. And just to show you, on one of the test pieces that I did before, where I tested a couple different strengths, I found 6,000 millimeters per minute and 50% strength, kind of worked well. The default in the software when I actually put in coaster, which seems to be a slate coaster, was 7,000, 30%, but I'm going to give this one a shot. All right, before we start, I did set the depth again for this. So the laser focus is set to the tallest one on that block, and we're going to start. All right, and we're starting, and this one's gonna be pretty quick. It's doing a fill engrave at 6,000 millimeters per minute and 50% power. So let's check in as it finishes up. Alrighty, it's just about done, so let's just see it finish. It's looking pretty good. I do find the camera system pretty good at positioning things on this laser. Okay, and hot off the press, we have the slate coaster. Hope it focuses fine. There, turned out really, really, really well. The details in kind of the established date, perfect. Really happy with that. All right, let's get to our final material test. All right, our final material test is going to be on some opaque matte acrylic, and this is green. So we're gonna throw this in here, and we're gonna set the depth, and we're gonna be using the defaults in the Falcon software for both engraving and cutting matte green acrylic. Okay, so we've got this started, and you'll see a little bit of flashing, so it's definitely different depending on the types of material as far as the impact that you have from that. So it's doing the fill engrave at 3,000 millimeters per minute and 90% power, and the cut is going to be just 100 millimeters per minute and at 95% power, and it has to do 3 passes. So that is one of kind of the weaknesses of a 10 watt laser versus like a 20, 40, 60 that would be able to do this essentially double to 6 times the speed. So that's the only downside when it comes to this kind of cut or engrave where it has to do multiple passes. So I just completed its second pass. However, I did see it drop, so it is done. So we can just stop it there and we'll be able to grab it because it did drop. And there we go. There's the finished product. Absolutely perfect. So yeah, I definitely got away with 2 passes instead of 3. So something to keep note of if you're doing it on your laser or if I'm doing another one. But yeah, that matte engrave is so nice. Not a lot of cleanup is needed on this. When you cut clear acrylic on a CO2, you do need a lot of cleanup, but this is absolutely perfect. Hey everyone, so there you have it. These are the capabilities of the all-new Creality A1. And here are my final thoughts, because I think that there's a lot to like about this, and there are a few things that are a little annoying that I just want to make sure I highlight. As far as likes, kind of off the gate, getting this out of the box and getting it going, so easy. So different than the Falcon 2 Pro. So great to be able to take it out and just get going, hook up the accessories on the side, and you're rolling. The only thing that you have to do from a setup perspective is the camera calibration, which it did say that it was pre-calibrated. However, that might be a function of the software being in beta, but it doesn't take too long to calibrate, nowhere near as hard as a lot of other lasers on the market as far as camera calibration. So that is something to really like about this, just getting it up and running. The build quality is fantastic. The metal casing, the plastics that you can see in the front and off the top, really nice touch having that gate on the front, really happy with that. 10 watts as far as a diode laser is going to be on the lower end. However, when it comes to beginner friendly lasers, 10 watts is more than capable enough. So compare that to 20 watts. It's half as much. You're still going to have the same capabilities with the same range of materials. However, it is going to take twice as long to do it. That's fine. You're not usually limited by the power of the laser. You're usually limited kind of by like the speed that it can move and that sort of thing. And this one's fantastic. So I think that there's a lot to like about that. So if you are in the market for a laser and you're not sure where you're going to go in the hobby, 10 watts isn't a bad place to start. So a couple of other things that I do want to highlight as far as likes, how quiet it is just unbelievable compared to my X-Tool S1, which is pretty loud. You can be in the same room with it though. My X-Tool P2, you don't even want to be in the same room with it, whereas this is kind of like a whisper in the background. So as I've been doing other things in the shop the last few days, I could have this running and you don't think too much about it. The air assist is going to be making kind of 5 times as much sound as the laser itself. So that is something to really like. Now, on the software side, there's a lot to like and there are a few things to dislike. As far as the likes, first of all, it's free. It's free, easy to use. You're going to pick it up in a matter of hours. So I think that that's something that's really great with the software. The material library is awesome. And yeah, just once you start to use it with the camera and that sort of thing, you're going to be in a really good spot. Now, on the software side, some of the things that I found a little more annoying is a lot of the smart camera features just didn't seem to be there. So I wasn't able to scan the QR codes with the camera in there in the material library. Also wasn't able to kind of like duplicate the design across multiple things using AI and that sort of thing for placement. So that didn't work for me, but I think that'll probably be coming with future releases of the software. And that's what I really want to highlight. When X-Tool came out with their Creative Space software, it took them a long time to get it to the point where any hobbyist really wanted to use it. Now it's great. X-Tool's done a great job with their software, but at the beginning, it really wasn't very good. Creality, I would say, is kind of in the middle right now. It's pretty good. Going to be good enough for most of you. Sometimes it's best to close it out, start a new project. That's kind of whenever I would run into some issues. Just close the software, restart it, and you're good to go. But overall, pretty good. And I think that it's more of a pro than a con. The manual focus, using that little block is something that it bothers me. It's not horrible if you are using the same material all the time, but as I was kind of putting this through its paces with like 50 or 60 different engraves and cuts, it was a little cumbersome going back and forth between material. But I don't think most people are going to run into that issue. And the reality is just throw it on the highest setting and you're good to go. Just make sure to change it when you do swap out the material, whether it's the thickness of the material or to a different material altogether. One other thing that's just like a minor gripe, but I think that it's just the form factor of this, is just that you are limited to basically like 6 millimeters of height the way it is. So like the laser can only go up so high to kind of have that focus. So you're somewhat limited to around 6 millimeters. There would be ways to get around that, but the great thing is that this is expandable. There are feet that you can get for the bottom that raise it up. You can put a honeycomb panel underneath, which would be great for material holding. You can put a rotary tool underneath. So that kind of expandability, and I would recommend that you get the feet if you are going to be seriously considering this laser. I think that really kind of gives a lot to kind of extend the usefulness of the A1. The other thing is just kind of material hold down. Most wood that you get, or little sheets of plywood, are not flat. I have started to buy true flat plywood, which is perfectly flat, but most of the stuff that you're getting from Amazon or from Alibaba or AliExpress are not going to be perfectly flat. And there's no way to hold that down in this right now. So that's something to be aware of. So go through it between some heavy books and then you'll be fine. Just want to make sure I didn't really kind of miss anything else. Like I do want to, like in the essence of full disclosure, say that Creality did send me the A1 or the Falcon A1 free of charge. However, they are not dictating the content of this video. These thoughts are my own. Although I will have affiliate links in the description below if you are interested in purchasing, which really does a lot for smaller creators like me. I know that can seem like it's influencing what I'm saying. However, I try to kind of separate that from what I'm thinking. So anyways, as far as pricing on this, so at the time of review, they haven't yet released pricing. And that's something that, so I do have pricing for you. And the Falcon A1 is going to be coming in at a very aggressive $549 US with an initial early bird price of just $499. When you compare this to the closest competitors like the We Create Vista and the Glowforge Spark, which are very similar kind of as far as size and capabilities, those are both $699 when they're on sale. So the lowest price that I've seen for those two lasers is $699, and the Falcon A1 coming in at $499 with their launch price, and then $549, which I think is extremely aggressive as its regular price. So it is going to be available across the world, so I will have links to a number of countries below. As a Canadian, I do want to note that the Canadian price is $779 Canadian dollars with an initial 10% off as an early bird special. So very aggressive pricing, and I think kind of as far as a conclusion, and the price really plays a big role in this, given the feature set, given kind of where it fits, 10-watt diode laser is amazing for beginners. It's going to have the same capabilities as a 20 or 40 watt, just going to be a little slower. Might not be able to cut super thick material on a single pass, but the reality is you're not going to be limited by its capabilities, just by the speed. And I think that's something that is absolutely okay with a laser like this. Lasers also generally hold their value reasonably well, especially when it comes to an enclosed laser like this. A lot safer than using kind of an open air laser. I would recommend that you take a look at some of the fume extractors or smoke extractors. Creality does sell one that does work very well with the Falcon A1, so be sure to check that out. But given this price point and kind of the quality of the build, the capabilities of the machine, the fact that there is Falcon Design Space software now that's free, easy to use, and it's just going to gradually improve over time. I think that if you are a beginner and you are interested in getting into laser engraving and laser cutting, this is a great buy. So again, links in the description below. Let me know what you think and stay tuned for more videos soon.